Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Co-Living Code Show and Podcast. I'm your host, Christine McDaniel, co-founder and CEO of Kindred, which is a global software platform for the co-living industry. And this week we have on somebody from London. They just opened actually just a few months ago. Sanjai Dhar is the founder of Domi Coliving, and he is a graduate of the University of Cambridge, where he studied engineering. He worked in finance for over 25 years, specializing in Japanese equities, and his love for property design was inspired by the simplicity of Japanese sense of aesthetics. And 10 years ago, Sanjai diversified into property development. And you guys will really enjoy this episode. I've met him and his family in person when I lived in Europe, and it was just exciting to hear them building out the concept and excited to hear they just finally opened the doors. This was a 1-year build where they did a refurb on a current building, and they're doing a pilot program with 8 units, which is really cool. They're just kind of finding their way with these first 8 units. And I know the current residents are already thrilled with the product. Again, this is much needed in London for sure. So enjoy this week's episode. Hello, everybody. It is Christine here again this week with another fun episode of the Co-Living Code Show. Every Wednesday, I bring on the most amazing people from around the world. And I've got Sanjay on today, and he is the founder of Domi Coliving in London. But we were just chatting. He's actually in the Bay Area right now, so he's on my same time zone. So welcome so much to the show. Really excited. I met him in person and his wife and lovely daughter while I was in Europe. So I met in London, and then they had come out for lunch. Your wife and daughter had come out for lunch in Amsterdam, so that was cool to talk. And that was before you guys were almost launched this summer. So catch everybody up, I know you guys were working on it for a while, so you can maybe start from the beginning of the idea inception and then just go from there.
Well, we launched now beginning of October, but the build-up was about a year. We acquired the property and converted it into a co-living space, or at least the first phase. It's in 3 phases. So we've completed the first phase. We started phase 2. So we launched with the first phase, which is more of a pilot. We've got 8 units there, and it's going really well.
And I loved, and again, I think I talked more to your wife than you about, your guys' the pilot, how smart it is for you guys to pilot, a few units and just kind of be there for your residents, work out any bugs before expanding. How many more units and buildings total do you guys have in the pipeline?
Phase 2 is 29 more units, and phase 3 is 60.
Oh, wow. Nice.
We're going to be right around the 100 number once we're done.
And then how long are you guys refurbishing buildings, or are you doing any ground up?
Well, the first one was a complete refurb. The second one's also a refurb. And the third one's a new build.
Nice. And I know you have a background in engineering and finance. So how is real estate and kind of rehabbing properties? How does that compare?
It's a lot more fun, to be honest. It's less corporate. It's easygoing. I've been doing it now for 9 or 10 years. I was doing prime central London resi rehab, mainly involving an increase in square footage. It wasn't just a cosmetic rehab. And the government introduced a lot of friction into that space. So I kind of had to reposition myself, and co-living seemed to be the obvious space to get involved with.
And then I know you just opened and you're already fully, all 8 units rented out. How quick was that? That was pretty quick.
About a week.
1 week. Oh my gosh. And how close is this building to the city center?
It is 20 minutes from Cannon Street by train. The train station is about a 2-minute walk from the site. And there are trains every 10 to 15 minutes. They're more frequent at rush hour, obviously.
Perfect. And then, so now, you have a history in just the regular rental market there in London. And now you guys are diving into this and, obviously fully occupied, 100% occupancy, obviously are there more people per square meters, I'm assuming, sharing less space?
We have a lot of common areas, so it's not as intense an occupancy as it could have been. We have common rooms. We have co-working areas. We're in the process of building a yoga studio. So we really want to have a nice experience for our residents. We are particularly cognizant in the personal space to have a double bed or a king size bed that you can walk around, have a desk, have a chair, have, your own personal space needs to be comfortable. There are others who believe that having a single bed wedged up against a wall works as long as you have nice common areas. We believe you should have both.
Nice. No, and you're right. There are definitely, I know there's two major school of thoughts on how small, and I've had that conversation with a lot of people with small bedrooms. Again, I guess it's based on your clientele. If they're younger millennials that eat out all the time and they're very social and they love being in the common spaces and they're really only home to sleep, then they don't mind a small bedroom. Myself included. I don't need I've had huge bedrooms. I never use them, but sometimes different generations really want that private space with a desk and like somewhere they can kind of come home and relax in a larger bed, not a bed. You're not a twin bed up against the wall, like you said. I've seen those spaces too. So that was something you guys thought out in the design.
We did, and our though the sample's quite small, our average age is about 25, 26. So, and they love the size of the room, of their personal space.
Oh, nice. So they actually comment and say that.
Absolutely.
Great. And then what kind of activities? I saw, we read in your bio that you guys will have, you have a yoga teacher on site. So you guys are obviously doing the yoga room. What other activities are you guys going to do?
Well, there's a drinks party on tonight.
Oh, nice.
As we speak. I'm sad to be missing it, but there are going to be cooking evenings, and the residents themselves spontaneously had a knees up a couple of weeks ago. They seem to be gelling well together. So things are happening.
And no, that's a great point. With 8 units, again, a smaller community to start with. What was the application process like for people moving in together?
The application process, we did a lot through actually Baddie, if you're familiar with them. We didn't take everyone who applied. We were quite ruthless in making sure that everyone gelled together well. And
nice.
they were in the same space, if you like, in the same headspace to be able to live together.
Was there certain questions that were asked in order to figure that out?
We had like a questionnaire that we handed out.
And then is it a 1-year lease minimum?
No, we're really driven by the law rather than our own ideas. There is a minimum tenancy period of 6 months, which we are abiding by.
Oh yes, I knew you guys had. I know you guys have more strict rules there on rentals for sure in London. Okay, so 6-month minimum is what they signed up for. And then so you said the ages are mid-20s, it sounds like. And what is it, male, female? Is it evenly split?
It's about 60-40 male to female. We have a couple of couples even.
Oh, nice. Okay. And then what type of professions are they typically in?
A variety of professions, finance, the arts, digital media, IT. So a mixed bag.
And then the actual rehab process, how long did it take for the entire building?
The building took us just under a year.
Okay.
And we've done a lot of things we didn't have to. We're completely green. All our heating and hot water comes off a air source heat pump. So it's completely green. We have underfloor heating. We've got fantastic plumbing, like a hotel. So we've done a lot of things that a lot of landlords don't do.
And then technology. Let's kind of dive into that because I know you guys also did some fun stuff with tech. What kind of like IoT, smart home, little nice little gadgets you guys put inside the units?
We obviously have a lease line for our broadband, so bandwidth is not an issue. But we also have keyless locks. You operate all our locks from your smartphone, which is fun. It's a system called Clevio. They operate off of 4G and the internet. So if one fails, you're not going to get locked out. Um,
And
so
are these on the bedroom door? These are on the unit doors, correct?
front door, the living room door, on all doors.
Oh,
So
nice.
you get the key to your to the common areas and to your personal space, and those are issued, off a desktop.
Nice. Yeah, so then you don't have to necessarily meet them at the property to let them in when they first move in, correct?
Exactly right. Yeah.
You could just let them in, or they can let in the house cleaners. Do you guys have any other amenities like house cleaning or anything like that included?
We have cleaning included. We do a change of sheets. We have cleaning of the common parts on a pretty regular basis. Um, so the place is kept in a condition that one would expect.
Nice. And then so, again, when you guys thought of this, you were already in obviously renting out real estate. When did you first hear about the word or concept of co-living?
About a couple of years ago, and it made perfect sense because in London, the quality of rental accommodation in the co-living type space, except for obviously the more corporate landlords now, the smaller scale, was the quality of space was quite poor, and it's crying out for the whole sector to be institutionalized, to give a good quality service to the end users, good experience.
And then also because I know London just has such a high rate of loneliness. Like you guys are kind of in in the spotlight. I don't know why that is. But again, do you guys see that with these residents? Again, I know they just moved in recently, just a month or two ago, but and again, you wrote it in your bio, it's just kind of tackling that loneliness issue. Like what are some ways you guys are facilitating that?
It really is an issue in most big cities, and it's sort of happening. A lot of it is happening organically. We see our residents leaving their doors open. They're on different. So our 8 units are 3 on one floor, 3 on another floor, and 2 on the last floor, and each floor shares a kitchen, so they're leaving their doors open, they're cooking together, they're obviously hanging out in the communal areas together. And then at these events that we're having, like tonight, there's a lot of interaction. So there are 1 or 2 people who like sticking to themselves, which is fine, but if you don't, then there is human interaction to be had, which is great.
No, that is great. And just helping kind of, facilitate. And I'm sure as you guys expand these other properties, will they be close by?
They're all on the same piece of land.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
yeah, it's all going to be one community, but each area will have its own common spaces. But if you're living in one building, you won't be restricted from using the common spaces of the other buildings. And we even have a garden, quite a nice sized garden on our plans. So there's going to be outside space as well, which currently we don't have because we're still, in construction, if you like.
And I love the name Domi Co-living. How did you come up with the name Domi?
It was actually my daughter who's done Latin. I haven't, and it's home. So we wanted something short and user friendly, and yeah, so
That's
it's
great.
for home rather than house.
Yes. No, yeah, and there's a big difference between those two words. So yeah, a home is much more, right? And so you guys, so the expansion, are you guys going to just strictly stay in London? Do you guys possibly going to expand the brand globally?
With uh, of course, down the road, we do want to be in more than just London, but it's important getting the first one right and going from there.
And then have there been any lessons yet, that you've learned along the way, as whether that was in the rehab process or like moving in everybody process?
There is learning the entire time.
Okay.
So yes, there have been a few lessons, nothing earth-shattering, mainly sort of logistics oriented. We needed to have a guy 24/7 as a key holder nearby in case of an emergency, that sort of thing. But nothing fundamental so far. Touch wood.
And then also, let's see here, the co-working space. So you guys have like a separate, within the building, you have co-working, correct? Okay.
It's our co-working space right now is a little bit limited because the actual room, which is like a 500 or 600 square foot room that we have for co-working, it's still being built. So right now our co-working space is smaller, but hasn't been used yet, funnily enough. But we're very keen in the next couple of months to launch the actual bigger co-working space.
Nice, 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 nice. And then, so we talked about future expansion for Domi. As far as co-living in general, as an industry, and this is the question I ask everybody, where do you see co-living in the next 10 years? How do you see it evolve on like a global level?
I think it's the way to the future. I think the days of the slum landlord are over. People like being in happy, warm, comfortable spaces, and I'm very optimistic about the growth of this whole area.
Well, great, Sanjay. Well, thank you so much for coming on this week. So excited you guys launched. Because yeah, I told you guys this summer, as soon as you launch, let me know so we could get you on the show and the podcast so everybody could hear your journey, especially that you just started it. So we're excited to watch your progress. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Christine.
And
You've been
have
a
a
support. Really appreciate your support.
Of course, anytime. Well, thanks so much. Thank you so much for checking out today's episode. If you want to learn more about co-living, you could check out my book on Amazon, The Co-Living Code. And of course, if you're looking for the perfect software to power your co-living concept, check out kindred.io, KNDRD.io. Thanks. And a quick thank you to SPX Agency for all of the graphics, animation, and design on our YouTube channel.